I'm going to read a poem from this book, which was written in English. I've two books of poetry written in English, and this is one, A Lesson in Cant. And it's inspired by the time I spent working with the travelling community. And it was during this time, actually, that I began to write poetry, because before that I'd been writing plays and having a go at prose, but mostly plays. But when I began teaching, I had so little time that whatever I had to write had to fit on the back of an envelope or on a shopping list. And that was how I became a poet. And these poems are inspired by that time, but I had the manuscript for about 16 years before I published it, because I wasn't that certain about writing about people who didn't really have a voice of their own. But then I was at a conference in America, and I met somebody who'd written a book, a critical book about the travellers. That was José Lanters, and she'd written a book called The Tinkers in Irish Literature. And it reminded me that I had this book at home, and I thought, well, really, maybe now is the time to publish it, because it's not only about the people I was working with, but it's about me. It's about 7 years of my life. And obviously, all of the names and circumstances have been changed in the book. And I should say, actually, that I put the book together on a residency in Connecticut. And the other resident at the time was an artist from England, Alex Williams, and he had some of his paintings shipped over, and this was one of them. And I thought it really suited the book. So I finished the manuscript during that time in America. For my uncle. Kathleen's uncle has died of cancer. He was 49, old enough for a traveller. She wants to write a poem in his memory. We set to work, saying how much she loved him, how much she'll miss him, how he used to make the copper buckets, and who'll make them now. Kathleen can spell most words. She went to primary school for 4 years and to secondary for a few months, until the day she got fed up being called a knacker and told she smelt, and went up to the highest window in the school and threw all her books out and her school bag and her school jumper and told the nun where to shove her school. Her poem is such a hit at the campsite that night that when she comes in the next day, she reworks it, making versions for my son, brother, father, grandfather, cousin. We put each version in a plastic cover to keep safe from wind and rain the words she has given her family's grief.